Hello, 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 everybody. Ian Alter, the Freedom Astrologer here, and doing another astrological video, another astrological analysis, and I'm again tying it to our practical realm, this time relationships. And we're going to look at Venus in hard aspect or opposition or square to Saturn and or Uranus. So we're going to actually dissect both of these aspects. You can see here on my left there's an example, and this example is from the year 1988. This is the summer of 1988, and this it was like kind of end of July and beginning of August, where Uranus and Saturn here below on this chart were both in opposition to our other main character called Venus. So now, those of you who don't know, Venus is a lot to do with relationships, and in this video we're going to focus on that part of Venus, and we're going to combine it with quite hard influences of Saturn and Uranus here as well. Now, it doesn't mean that the only people who have this configuration in their chart should be born during 1988 or summer of 1988. Nope, there are other obviously configurations. Let's say this is a very good example of a time where these two, you can say that Uranus is also a difficult influence at times, where in opposition to Venus, and that's why. And also have a personal investment in this time, and I just thought this was a good example to kind of illustrate both influences, because you can have one or the other, but people who were born during this time really got like the gist of it, or the difficult manifestation. They got both. They have both Uranus and Saturn at the same time in a hard aspect. This is extremely difficult. So, but all of this kind of like astrological mumbo jumbo aside, so what does this mean in real practical material terms? How can it manifest in your life? So first of all, it can make you feel like totally unworthy and not worthy of other people's love. This is a big one, and that again transfers into your relationships. You get into relationships, and even if the person says that they love you, acts accordingly, shows their love, you, with this configuration or these configurations, it's hard to accept their love. And I just want to clarify, I'm starting with Saturn Venus combo, so this applies to you when you have this Saturn and Venus combo, and we're going to do Uranus Venus after the Saturn Uranus. Saturn Venus. But let's continue with Saturn Venus, and the second thing is relationships feel really like hard work and constant obligations, a lot of duties, and you feel like this kind of deeper duty towards the other person, which at times can make it seem like the relationship itself is a lot of work and a lot of hard work and difficult work. So it can get annoying at times, for sure. Another one is fear about even entering into relationships, fear about relationships in general, and kind of like even rejecting relationships. And a lot of it is kind of subconscious and suppressed because it's Saturn. And when a person doesn't deal with these things, they can get into like a time frame of not being in relationships. And that leads us actually to the next manifestation, which is really like delays with relationships and delays with getting into relationships. You're like you're about to get into one, and something again happens, some kind of blockage or some kind of life blockage, or it's most likely it's your internal emotional and mental blockage that is actually stopping you from getting into these spaces or relationships with other people. Burden, I already mentioned, but relationships do feel like a constant burden. Don't worry, I will give solutions as well in the end of this video. Delays, we spoke about ideas, thoughts. This is kind of a weird one, and I've seen it. It's like these ideas and thoughts kind of like come from very deep, that say that it's almost impossible for you to get, like, whatever you do, whatever therapy or I don't know what kind of things you use to get over this, but whatever you do, it's still almost impossible for you to get into a proper relationship. Now, these last ones are very difficult and kind of bring in the karmic spiritual side of this Saturn-Venus combo. Is hard, very hard lessons in relationships. Now, this can manifest in many ways, but thought I had a bloody nose, luckily not. This can mean many different things, but for example, you make kind of certain kind of mistakes in how you treat the other person, treat them badly, treat them poorly, maybe there's cheating involved, maybe there's kind of like doing something that you're kind of not supposed to do in relationships, and you still do it, and then immediately it gets reflected and done back to you from the other person. So I urge you to be aware of this and not treat others in a way that you don't want to be treated. Otherwise, you're going to have a really, really bad time. Now, a disclaimer to this part is that even if you do all the things properly, it doesn't negate the fact that others might still hurt you and do painful things to you. These are kind of like your karmic lessons in life, and you kind of have to deal with those. Especially when younger. So this is not the easiest one. Like a lot of relationships can seem, this is the next one. A lot of relationships can seem like they're going towards marriage, like maybe they're even long-term relationships, and then this ending comes to relationships, and you're kind of like, what? But still, again, this is the Saturn karmic, let's say, part of Saturn that's coming to you and saying like, hey, this is not the right one for you. You have to go towards the next one. But when you have these ideas and thoughts on how things should go and how things should be, and you're planning marriage and planning a life together, and then something annoying and painful happens that kind of destroys the relationship, it's still very painful and hard to deal with. So I don't want to scare you too much with this, but this is one of the painful ways it can also play out. And this last one is kind of like an internal one, but this is a difficult one because it's a lot to do with psychology and deep stuff, let's put it like that, because it's still thought patterns and emotional issues you had in your childhood. But kind of this feeling of when you're in a relationship, let's say you get into the long-term relationship and you're constantly feeling like this kind of blocked feeling, like there's something wrong or something shouldn't be like this, or something is kind of holding you back within that relationship. This is also with the Saturn Venus combination, and not an easy one to deal with, I gotta say. Now, the next one is the Uranus-Venus combo, and if you have both of these, obviously you should listen to both of these and be aware of both of them, and start making adjustments and dealing with these pains. Now, Uranus is different than Saturn, although they are connected to each other. Uranus is kind of like the higher octave of Saturn, or the more they kind of have. Both of them have similar qualities, but Uranus is more innovative and has kind of like both like two sides. Both of like the old, more tried and true version of things is Uranus, and like the innovative side. So they're kind of it channels the energy of both. Let's put it that way. So it kind of likes the tried and true methods, and also likes to innovate and push the boundaries at the same time, as weird as it sounds. But in relationships and in combination with hard aspect to Venus, this is the first one is falling in love really quickly, like momentarily, like 5 minutes from meeting one person, you're kind of like internally, like, oh my God, I feel this deep connection, and I'm in love with them, and I got to be with them. Kind of thoughts and ideas start running around. But at the other end of that spectrum, these feelings can also subside as quickly as they came. You get into a conversation with them, and you understand, okay, so maybe this is not the right person for me. There are differences in ideas, or maybe too big of differences, and so basically these feelings that come really quickly, and you kind of say to you that, oh my God, I love them, can vanish just as quickly. And not so easy to deal with when you're kind of running around in the material world, trying to find a partner for yourself. The next one is, I think, maybe the most painful with Uranus, hard aspect to Venus, is these relationships can really quickly end. Once you're in a relationship, you can start the relationship really quickly and really abruptly, maybe even too quickly. But the relationship can come to a very cutting off, abrupt, shocking end. Like maybe even on the day of the wedding, the person comes, hey, I'm not sure, I don't want to do this, or they just run away. Have heard from people that they have had this happen with this position. So although it can come as a shock in the moment, usually it has been brewing for quite a while. So, but still, the shocking and emotional pain associated with this ending can be quite difficult to handle. And also, it doesn't mean that it's always going to happen to you. You can actually be the one doing that very, very abruptly, very quickly, out of blue. Okay, I don't love this person anymore. I need to get out of the relationship and just end everything in a kind of shocking everybody kind of way. We talked about already the rushing into relationships, but you need to be really careful with this, like jumping really quickly into things. It's, usually it serves, with Saturn or Uranus involved, it serves to get to know the person, like build more solid foundations before starting the long-term thing. The next one is kind of let's say, because especially if you have Uranus and Saturn both, it's kind of like contradictory. But Uranus wants freedom. Saturn wants, very traditional, classical things, very tried and true kind of relationships. Uranus wants innovation and freedom and liberation in relationships. So this even involves open relationships. This even if the other person starts controlling you, you immediately want to kind of rebel against it. This kind of fire and maybe not even fire, like very abrupt, intense feelings arise from you that you kind of want to break free from that relationships, and then that can lead you towards doing, kind of other not so good things with people you shouldn't be doing those with. So not the easiest again. Now, this constant Uranus, when it's hard aspect to Venus, it wants this kind of constant innovation in relationships, constant not being satisfied with the relationships, kind of always wants new things in the relationships. And if those new things aren't there, you go through different kinds of periods in relationships. So it can get really, really hard to innovate and be, do these kind of fresh new things all the time. So you need to be aware of and then kind of be okay with being in more maybe slower moving pace at times as well. Otherwise, it will be a difficult task to be in a committed relationship. So, as you can see, when we combine those, especially within our example here, two of these together, you can see, being in a relationship isn't the easiest thing for the person, but still manageable and can be healed, let's say, and obviously it takes a lot of time with these patterns and thoughts and ideas about relationships. And what are kind of some of the areas you should move towards is with Saturn especially. First of all, you need to accept Saturn. With Saturn, there's no moving along or growing without acceptance. And the acceptance can just look like, okay, this is it. This is how my life is, and I have to deal with it. There's kind of like no baby crying, kind of being a teenager, just, I can't get what I want, blah, blah, blah. This doesn't work with Saturn. You need to really be accepting of the hard lessons and kind of be okay with those. Of course, they can hurt and be painful for you. That's okay. But don't suppress that even more. But the important thing here is to kind of accept that this is the situation. You can't kind of wiggle or cry yourself out of it. Accept it as an adult. Now the second one I wrote down here. I wrote a piece on it as well, and I will link the article below in the description. Now, if you know a little bit of astrology, psychology, this one is huge, and I think the most important here is to start becoming aware of the childhood patterns that you had as role models. This means your parents and their relationship. This means the relationship of your grandparents, all the grandparents. This means, extended family. If the parents remarried, those relationships need to be assessed, and by you as an adult, and seeing how you as a child perceive those relationships and what kind of ideas and thoughts and ideas you had with these relationships. Because these ideas, thought patterns, beliefs are right now, when you're an adult, creating these, let's say, suffering or difficult situations. So this is really, really important for you to do. Now, if you start doing this on your own, I do recommend at times, seeing a therapist who you trust and who you feel close to, who you feel a connection to. This will help you a lot. Astrology, seeing an astrologer, seeing, all these things that help you get a deeper understanding of these things and help you get a deeper understanding of the patterns in your mind. These all help with solving this situation for you. Now, the next one is a bit of a different one, but because it's using that energy, that difficult energy, in a positive way, and this is putting this energy into creative pursuits. Venus is a lot to do with creativity and art and music. And, you know, one of the things, or a couple of the things you can do is create music yourself, listen to music yourself, paint or look at art, you know, be kind of engage with art, look at paintings, look at art, make paintings, create paintings yourself, create music yourself, listen to music yourself. And the best music to create with Saturn connection is kind of old classical type of music, more traditional music, or listening to retro radio or retro songs. With the Uranus connection, it's more like technological music, like new innovative techno music, house music, for example, drum and bass, these types of new things, and creating those yourself, and painting kind of space, painting mountains, painting rocks, you know, things like that. And just like to end this, the key still is to kind of rewire your brain to understand the beliefs you have about relationships, where these are coming from and why these are there. Why do you believe these things? What happened in your childhood to make you believe these things and take on these patterns or beliefs? Once you start unraveling those, getting into relationships, being in relationships, and staying in relationships becomes easier gradually. So, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you got some knowledge out of it, and hope to see you soon on the channel. I will do more videos like this. If you want to get a reading with me, the information is down below. And I appreciate if you subscribe, like, you know, share the video if you got a lot of information out of it, or you got some information out of it. Really appreciate the help as well. So, Ian and also the Freedom Astrologer out, and see you again soon.